All right, we should jump into it right now. We all got it, right?
Well, hold on, Med. What have you been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing, Med?
I have not been playing anything except the game that we're about to review.
All right.
Can't fault you with that.
No, you can't. The game is amazing. But, again, all four of us have gotten it, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
All four of us have played it, right?
Absolutely.
As in the game's physically in our console and we've actually booted it up and played it, right? Not just sniff the box.
Look, it was a good smelling box. I don't tell you.
That's what they all say about Lara Croft. Anyways,
Boom. Zing.
Oh, man.
Ew.
has everybody here beaten it?
I have.
The game.
Nope.
Twig?
No, I'm only...
Swally, I know you beat it.
I did.
I beat
I
it.
think my save says I'm like 10% in or something like that.
Oh, wow. Jay, how far are you?
I just got past the radio tower, and now I have to go save some dude who is screaming out for help. And Roth's like, "You need to make sacrifices, Laura." She's like, "I'm not going to make a sacrifice out of him." Like,
Are you
right.
making fun of Lara Croft?
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let me get this straight.
I will slap you.
Do
You've
it.
not played the show, and you're busting on Lara Croft. Are you kidding me?
I would tell you that the script for Tomb Raider, outside the actual game, is standard fare. But as far as a reboot goes, it's not terrible compared to other scripts of games I've played or have read about. I mean, Vanquish is a terrible script, but it's still a good game.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree, because at least so far, I think the story is pretty good.
I'm still in shock that Jay actually finished downloading Vanquish, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Poor Jay and his downloads. We were all friggin' stoked to play Endgame the other night, and he was downloading all night. Between that and the patch, and never got to play with us.
As it turns out, if everybody uses the internet inside of the apartment, then I can't download as fast as I could. But I'm downloading 2 DLC patches for Mass Effect 3 yesterday. That's another game we're not talking about right now. And that shit went past in less than an hour. So, just depends on who's on the internet at the time. Anyways.
Alright. So we're not going to do spoilers, obviously, because unless Jay and Twig, you don't mind us ruining the story for you.
No.
I
better
couldn't,
not.
I couldn't
Please
do
don't.
that. I couldn't do that.
I mean,
I know you
would,
gotta fight
but-
robots at the end. Maybe some aliens.
You're forgetting the gigantic Tyrannosaurus, Jay.
Oh,
And-
Clementine dies at the end. I remember that.
And the mutant spider.
Oh, and the pterodactyl. Oh, wait, that's Battlefield. Never mind.
Is it like a crossover Resident Evil where you have to fight bows? It's a giant spider like that.
Basically, at the end, they throw everything at you. Alright, from every game.
Sweet. Got to fight Bowser at the end. Grab
You
by
get
the
to-
tail, swing a couple
Bowser riding a Metal Gear is the end.
Wait,
Right
does
there.
he come out of a giant vagina like from Borderlands?
He is the giant vagina like in Code Veronica.
Oh, shit.
Alright, man. Opening thoughts. Swally, since you've beaten it, what did you think?
Like I mentioned in the Tomb Raider thread, that is over at www.virtualsportsnetwork.com/forum. Sign up for the forums today. I haven't fallen in love with a game like this since Uncharted 2.
Actually, Swally, let me ask you, have you played... Do you have a lot of experience with the Lara Croft Tomb Raider series? Like, did you play the old ones?
Me and Twig were talking about this the other day. The PS1 ones, I played a little bit. I never played an entire game because I didn't own the system. But whenever I was at a friend's house, I'd dabble in it. I own the Crystal Dynamics trilogy, but I haven't played. I've booted up Anniversary, but I'm only like maybe an hour in. So I mean, I don't know a lot about the games, but I've at least played a little bit of a few of them.
Yeah, like I told you, I think you'll definitely like them, Swirly, but as far as mechanics, it's going to be a huge step back from what you're playing now, just because the shooting is like all lock on, and it's kind of it, and plus one of the best things, especially about that trilogy, is I guess the first game should be Anniversary, right?
Chronologically, yes.
Yeah, it's Anniversary. Then the second one is what was the second one called?
Let me grab the box.
And then of course the third one's Underworld, which Underworld was awesome. But Anniversary was basically like an HD remake of the original PS1 game.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, like when that game when Anniversary first came out, and you're like, for someone like me that played through the original on PS1, and then to play through it again, like, man, I remember all this stuff, but of course it looked all blocky and pixelated, and just to be able to go through these same areas and like how great it looks now, like just the nostalgia coming back and everything, that was pretty amazing. I really like that. What did you get the box yet?
Yeah, it's Legend.
That's it, Tomb Raider Legend. Yeah, all three games are great, but like I said, when you're coming from this, it's very modern, and you know the shooting and everything's so solid, and then you'll go back to those, and everything's like lock on. It's the combat wasn't really what drew you in with those older games. It was more so the puzzles and the exploration and everything. The combat was kind of like a secondary thing.
So yeah, with this new one, man, it does almost everything near perfectly. You get a lot of comparisons to Uncharted, which, I mean, obviously they're both action adventures, platformer. It's an archaeology based story, kind of like your Indiana Jones, and Uncharted took things from Tomb Raider. Now you get it the other way around, but it's kind of fun because in the same way they're pretty different as well. The story in Tomb Raider, there's times where that shit just gets creepy as hell. I mean, when you're in the strongholds of the enemy on the island, there's just some creepy shit that you see.
There's a lot of fucked up shit that happens in Tomb Raider, especially like in the second half of the game.
I really don't know how to describe it without spoiling it, but it's pretty creepy. I mean, it's very unlike your Uncharted that's always trying to throw one-liners and funny stuff at you throughout the good stories that they have. But I mean, that's also kind of a great thing because you don't want exact copycats of each other. They kind of play off each other pretty well how they are now. But there's just so many great things about this game. Just like Uncharted, you have the great set pieces. The platforming I thought was excellent. Surprisingly, the combat was really good.
Swally, how did you feel about that bow?
Oh my god, that shit was amazing.
It was sexy, wasn't it?
After coming from Assassin's Creed 3, I was like, third-person bow and arrow, I don't know how good this can be, because, you play Far Cry 3, and that bow and arrow experience was just, it was a lot of fun, and then you come to this, and it's top-notch. It was so fun just putting arrows right through people's heads.
That's
like 100 yards away. It was
getting headshots with that bow is so satisfying. And then of course seeing that seeing those XP bonuses pop up, in the lower left corner is just it's so fun.
It was great.
And how much better did it get when you get to fucking light those arrows on fire?
See, I wasn't huge on the fire arrows. I like just popping people in the head, but
really?
it was fun throwing a fire arrow at a red barrel and just exploding like half of a building.
Speaking of that, and I actually wanted to ask. I'll ask all three of you guys now, because obviously you're all three further than I am in the game. And I don't really think it's a spoiler or anything, but the point I'm at, I keep coming up to these basically like buildings or even like posts or whatever that have these ropes wrapped around them. Like I've seen a bunch of it almost looks like a hut or a building that I could get into, but the door is like sealed with these ropes that are wrapped around, I guess what would be the locking mechanism. It almost looks like it's something that could catch on fire.
No, you need a skill. You need a skill.
The ropes are...
it's a skill that you acquire in a little bit.
Yeah. You could pull that door off.
Yeah. Like, it's something that you collect later on in the story. Like, they keep on giving you more and more stuff to get. And
right. That's what I figured it was something, an ability that I would have to obtain and then and come back later. And then there's also some things like where, like, I was kind of just introduced to those, like, hanging, I don't know what you would want to call them. Those things that you can light on fire, but they're kind of like hanging.
Oh, the salvage bags?
No, not the salvage bags.
They're kind of lanterns.
Yeah,
but they're not.
But they're huge. It's almost like it's a hanging bowl with stuff that you can light it.
Yeah,
I know Med. Yeah, I know Med loves that. The bowl that you can light. Right. So, but I haven't really seen. Like, I found one that was at ground level that I lit, but like nothing really happened. And then nearby was like one of those hanging satchels that you can light on fire to get the salvage from. So I figured it had something to do with those two things tying together. And then also in the same area there was another one where one of those those hanging bowls that I could not get to, and it almost looked like it was a situation where I'd end up having to shoot it with a flaming arrow, but I don't have those yet. So
wait, just for reference, your bow, is it just like a stick with a string on it right now?
No, well, there were only I think 2 things you can upgrade, at least the one I have.
Yeah,
and I've already upgraded both of those things.
So it's just a stick though.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't have. He doesn't have the composite bow yet.
I don't have like a recurve bow or anything. It's just
all right. You don't have like that. Well, the second bow you get is kind of like an Asian bow with like the engravings on it.
Yeah, no, I still have whatever the original one. I just have it upgraded.
Okay, so you're like at the very beginning.
Oh, and do those upgrades like carry over to whatever? Because I know that.
Yes, they do.
Okay, good. Because I know with the axe, like you start out with that like really crappy pickaxe, and then it's actually a story mission. You have to upgrade it, and then when you get the new one from Roth, your upgrade carried over to that. So I was hoping I didn't waste my upgrades on my bow if they didn't carry over.
Yeah, they'll carry over, and then you'll get some additional stuff with each new bow that you get.
All right, so.
Now, I gotta ask, as far as upgrades go, I also was making comparisons to Uncharted and Far Cry. Did you guys go through every single tree to unlock different tiers? Because I'm still working on the survival tier, like the very first one where you can see animals and plants that you can salvage better. Like, I feel that was kind of like a wasted perk that you had to buy in order to get the better ones, like better climbing and less fall damage and stuff, versus stuff for like Hunter where pretty much everything is good.
See, I didn't even spend any points on the animal stuff because I wasn't much into the hunting.
Yeah, me neither. And climbing faster doesn't really. I never upgraded that. It never bothered me. Like the climbing that you get stock is pretty. It's fine. It's not really slow or anything. I saw no need to upgrade it.
I usually went towards the other salvage stuff, and then
the finishing moves, the hunter stuff,
and then the other tree combat or whatever.
I thought it was like really weird, especially I don't know if it's part of Hunter or part of the brawler tree that you unlock later on. How they just didn't let you use the climbing axe to fight with, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you spent a couple points, and now you can hit enemies with this for like stun attacks and finishing moves and stuff. I figured they would add that in like they did with the multiplayer.
Oh, it's fun to spike somebody right in the face with that axe, though.
Especially as like a finishing maneuver when you dodge them and then you get them right in the fucking head.
right in that core.
Right in that core.
I just pick up like just some random rock off the ground and hit him in the head with it so far. So
See, I didn't know she was picking up a rock till like halfway through. I just thought she had like a really mean right hook.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, was like there was no rocks, so she just slapped that dude really fucking hard, broke his neck.
Roundhouse right to the kisser.
Yeah. And then like later on I thought I could use the pickaxe and I couldn't, and then I guess it's one of the guys that had the double climbing axes or something, or size that he was trying to fight me with. Like he was right against an edge and I tried running up to hit him with mine. I couldn't do that because I didn't have it unlocked yet, so I just knocked him off the ledge. He fell off like, I don't know, 50-story fucking waterfall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that because the game does like I know Swirly said it's a darker game. I mean, it's pretty graphic. Like even early on, like this stuff, like even the death animations with Lara. I mean, if you've seen that Conan video of him reviewing the game, you see him dying over and over again when that like spike just goes right through her throat. That stuff is like pretty intense. And then of course also, as Swirly had mentioned on the forums at virtualsportsnetwork.com, sign up for the forums today, that the first time you kill someone in the game is a pretty emotional experience. It's not something that you see in really any games these days. I mean, you're so used to just even in Far Cry 3, the whole idea behind Far Cry 3, which I loved, it's one of my favorite games maybe ever. I had so much fun playing that game. But, the whole idea behind that was, you're just a regular, in this case, like basically like a college douchebag, trust fund kid. And all of a sudden, within minutes, you're mowing people down like it's, no tomorrow. Whereas in this game, she, since it's her origin story, she's just developing all these like skills and everything, and she's never had to kill anybody. So when you make your first kill in this game, it's like a very dramatic scene, a very dramatic situation, and I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, that was something I was really impressed with. They did such a good job of conveying her emotions, and I mean, you feel what she feels when she kills that first person and just drops down and just breaks down. You're just like, holy shit, what just happened? And I mean, they do such a good job of that, making you feel what the character feels throughout the game. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, not just in that level. Just generally, just throughout the game, they give you that feeling of making Lara feel like, she's out of her element. Like, especially when you're climbing, like, the first time, like, on the ledges and shit, with the winds and, like, everything shaking and everything, or when you're in the waterfalls, and it's, like, pushing you against everything. I just thought that was really well done.
And plus the voice work is, like, first of all, what's her name? Camilla Luddington does her voice. She's super hot in real life, so that doesn't hurt. But, just the voice work is done so well. Like, almost every time something happens, especially early on, when, even when early on when you're first learning to hunt, and, she kills her first deer, and she's just like, it's like she's like apologizing to the deer as it's like basically taking its last, breaths of life, and she's just like, I'm so sorry, but I'm starving, I have to eat. And just all the dialogue and just even the stuff in game, not so much in the cutscenes, where she's involved in these crazy situations and she's just saying stuff like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." It's like, it's just I don't know. It's like it really, really sucks you in, and like it really immerses you in the experience, I think.
I liked it with the game, and I've read through different reviews before we started playing this. How, again, now you guys are speaking about how she is a beginner. She has some training, but it's not like, intense combat type situations where you have to kill somebody else, you're going to get murdered. Whenever she's speaking with enemies, like when you first start out, like Twig was saying, there's a bunch of "leave me alone, I don't want to fight you," and then later on, I think it was like the nearest to the radio tower, I fought against some enemies, and they're like, "Oh, it's just her. Holy shit, we have to fight against her." And then, like, one last guy's like, "Holy shit, she's still alive." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm still alive." And he's like, "Oh, fuck, I'm going to die now."
I mean, straight from a story point of view, you would be hard-pressed to find a better origin story the way that they developed the character. I mean, at the beginning, like we've been saying, she has no idea what she's doing. And in most games, they maybe show you that for a minute, and then the entire rest of the game, you're just like this superhuman person mowing everybody down. But, I mean, they really bring her along gradually until finally at the end you feel like you are finally the Tomb Raider. I mean, they did a masterful job at slowly but surely bringing the character along and her becoming what we know her as in the past.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised when Jay was like, "Yeah, I think the story is like okay." I mean,
it's alright for an action adventure game. It's not mind-blowing, but it's not going to kill the game for me.
I'm super early on, but like I said, and besides the actual, the fact that this is an origin story and they're setting everything up, and I'm really impressed with the story up to where I am. Like I said, I'm still pretty damn early in the game, but the fact that I am so early in the game, and there have been so many, and I know the word epic is overused, especially nowadays when describing games, but there have been so many, epic or just memorable, moments in the game. And like I said, I'm only 10% in the game, and there's been so many times, where in the, even average, above average, action games nowadays, you might have maybe a handful of those moments throughout the entire game where you're like, wow, that was pretty awesome. Whereas I'm 10% in the game, and I've already seen probably 10 of those moments. It's just it seems like every couple minutes I'm just, more and more impressed and just blown away how great this game is.
One of my favorite parts was, there's two that fall into this same thing, but one's at the end, so I don't really want to talk about what happens. But there's one point in the middle of the game where they kind of throw the old school Tomb Raider at you with the dual pistols. I mean, you don't get to use them there, but they show you and they hint at it, and it's really cool. I mean, it's in the middle of this pretty emotional part that they do a good job of, and then they kind of show this for a second. It's like, oh my god, she's becoming the Tomb Raider. It was really cool.
See, up until that point, I had completely forgotten that Lara Croft was one of the first video game characters that had that did the dual pistol thing.
Right.
Because it's been so long.
Yeah, I mean, God, just the more and more I think about this game, there's so much stuff to do. I mean, and if you like to explore, yeah, it's not quote unquote an open world game, but pretty much almost every time you get to a section, it'll dump you out into a new open area, and there's just so much stuff to explore, so many collectibles to find. Then finding your first quote unquote secret tomb behind a waterfall or something, and it's totally optional. You don't even have to do it as part of the story. They just have all these things that are hidden throughout the world that you can find. It's just, man, I mean, I just can't say it. I think Swirly said the other day while he was playing, it's going to be, I know we're in March, and this game is very fresh in our minds because we're either just finished it or we're currently playing it. But it's going to be very hard-pressed for any game in 2013 to top what Tomb Raider's done so far, I think.
Can we talk about the tombs? Because that was one of the things I actually had an issue with. Swally, you found all of them, right?
I found 6 of the 7 during the game, and then I went back and found the other one after. I think they were alright for the origin story. Some of them were pretty easy. There was one, the one with the water and the electricity. I mean, it wasn't hard, but once you get in your mind what you think is the right way, it's hard to step back and objectively look and oh, this is kind of not what I'm supposed to be doing. So that one took me a good 10 minutes. I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? But I kind of hope in the next game, I swear to God, Crystal Dynamics, if you don't make a next game, I'll murder you. Which I'm pretty sure they will, but I'm hoping
sure
that the tombs in the next game, they get, a little more difficult. They don't have to be super difficult, but make them multi-leveled. You get a puzzle, you get through that, and then maybe throw us another puzzle that we have to get to or something.
Yeah, could you make it beyond one simple puzzle? Because that's what they all were. I was really disappointed because not only do they strongly hint where the secret tomb is, when you get to it, the puzzles are like unbelievably easy.
Yeah, the hint thing is, I didn't like that. When you get close to one, it pops up. There's a secret tomb nearby, which that was fine with me. That's kind of
the first one.
Fine.
It's gimme. Like, okay,
but
no problem.
The problem
that
I had
with you to it.
Exactly, I get it. But to make all 7 like that?
Well,
I wasn't aware of that. It's like, and also if you notice, she'll stare at the area. Like her head will like lock on to where I noticed that as soon as that popped up, there's a secret tomb there. I noticed that, and even after I'd completed that first tomb and I was exploring the area, when you go near that area, her head locks onto that. Basically, as an indicator you might want to go look down there. There's something of importance down there. And then, of course, they also have the stuff like they basically I guess cave drawings, paintings, whatever on the wall as hints too. If they would have just left it at that, like, oh, hey, her head's looking in this direction, and there's some indicators on the wall, that probably would have been a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, see,
the first puzzle's really easy, so it's easy to get to. And again, I understand it. It's the first tomb. They want to ease you into it. You get that first treasure. It makes you feel good about it. You want to get more. But the rest of them are exactly like that. I figured they would throw in death traps, maybe a more complex puzzle, maybe more than one puzzle after you finish the first one.
Yeah, I think I was surprised. I was surprised there wasn't any death traps.
I'm thinking the way that they put it in, and it's more indicative of the way the games are now, except for maybe games from Rockstar or something like that, where they make you think about what you're supposed to do. They make games easier than what they used to be on older consoles, so more people get into buying these games and playing them all the way through. They don't want you to, quote-unquote, get stuck and then just stop playing versus, I don't have enough time to play this game, so I have to go do something else. I come back and play in bits and bytes. It's I have all the time in the world, but I'm stuck on this puzzle. I'm bored. I'm angry. I don't want to play this anymore because this puzzle is too hard, or I don't get this, and, without having to go on to IGN or go on to GameFAQs or something to figure out what the hell you're supposed to do. I got stuck, I think it was the first enemy encampment or something like that. One of their first bases, they had a gas leak puzzle. And I sat there for 10, 20 minutes trying to figure out, okay, well, they give you lanterns. They tell you there's no way out of the room, but you have gas in the middle of 2 rooms. You know you're supposed to light it up because they showed you beforehand what happens when you light gas. It explodes. So you figure, okay, you can just throw lanterns and you just go and go and go. And I'm sitting there 10, 20 minutes figuring out, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And it goes to what Med's point is, they make it easy so you can just jump into the middle room, turn up the gas a little bit, jump back out, and then you can just blow up whatever you're supposed to go through to go on to the next area. Versus okay, well, you have to get the red key to go bring it over to a blue box to open up this box full of numbers you have to use for a lock code later on in the game. There's nothing like that. It's just easy stuff for people to go and play through so they can continue with the story adventure and enjoy what they're playing.
Well, see, I don't have a problem with the story puzzles being easy. But
I don't have a problem with the story puzzles being easy either.
The tombs are completely optional, so I feel like if they wanted to, they could really make those difficult and make them a real challenge.
These are secret parts of the game which give you upgrades and everything. These are bonuses. It's something that you don't need to do, so that's not really an excuse.
I don't think they were treating with it. Sorry, I don't think what they were doing with the tombs. Again, this is an origin story. The whole island, I guess, would be considered the tomb of the story itself. And then you have the little side tombs and stuff. You can go and get upgrades and things. I think they intentionally made the side optional tombs shorter because they wanted you to stick with the main story. It's cool to find unlocks, to find different things you can pick up and read and stuff like that. But they didn't want the main focus to be, okay, optional tomb A is larger than most of the big story, multiple puzzles, multiple enemies you have to fight, and They wanted to keep your focus on the story, not on the optional tombs. I get what you're saying. Like, it's too easy. The tombs are a little too short. Maybe in the second game or like in the DLC later on, you'll get like a huge tomb you can go and pick through, like you could in like the original games.
Yeah,
I'm not even talking about making it as long as a game or a main story or even a mission like that. I'm just saying, like, it's the length of the tombs. I'm not even asking to be like a quarter as long as the fucking main story, like 10%, because right now it's at 5%.
I mean,
I've only went to the first one so far, but yeah, if they all end up being pretty simplistic like that, like especially since, like you said, they're optional, so it's not, if you don't do them, it's not going to hinder your journey through the story itself. Like, going back to the other games, like in the trilogy, like Underworld and even the earlier great like Anniversary and Legend, like some of those puzzles were pretty difficult. Like, you really had to sit back and go, man, I got to put a boulder here and get the water running here to do this, and like, what am I missing? And of course, that was all to progress through the story, and they were pretty difficult. Like, it's like, but they were fun. Like, when you figured them out, you were just like, oh wow, that was really smart, and I'm glad. It was really rewarding to figure them out. So it's like, I don't know why, especially since going back to what Jay said, like, they don't want to hinder people. They don't want people going, oh, this puzzle's too difficult, I don't feel like playing this anymore. But since they're optional, that's not really something you're going to run into. So it's like, if you get stuck on an optional tomb, then guess what? Then go back to exploring, go back to this, progressing to the story, come back to it if you want to, whatever. You don't have to do it. So yeah, if that's how they're going to be for the rest of the game, that would be a disappointment, at least for me.
I mean, as simplistic and as short as they are, the whole thing just felt really, it felt really tacked on. Well, it's Tomb Raider, so we have to have tombs, and just make it optional, not spend too much time on it, just focus on the main game. And I get that, but at the same time, it just felt disappointing. If there was one thing about the game that I felt disappointed, that was it.
I think the biggest disappointment for me was the game. The combat was a little easy. I think up until the very, very end, I think I only died from combat like twice. I mean, I died quite a few times, but most of it was from trying some ridiculous shit when I was platforming. I kind of wish I would have played on the hard difficulty from the beginning, because, I mean, there are parts of Uncharted where you're just like, what the fuck? How do I get past these guys? And there really wasn't any points like that in this game. So I think they could have ramped up the enemy a little bit more.
I gotta agree, they were kind of cannon fodder, like the soldiers were. They were pretty easy. I mean, the only times I really died was when I tried to go Rambo in there and just kill everybody with my fucking assault rifle.
Oh, and the ammo. This is kind of it's got a survivalist feel to the game, but yet you never really run out of ammo. And I was like, there's ammo around every corner. I was like, I think there should have been a lot less ammo.
And there's a scavenger perk where you can actually pick up ammo from like dead enemies and everything.
Yeah, they're speaking of that gas room that Dizzle mentioned, like, which I thought that whole part I thought was pretty awesome, especially what happens immediately after that, involving the enemies. But yeah, like, not too far after that, right when you find your first assault rifle, like, I actually did run out of ammo in that first encounter. But it was only because, they do a good job of, I haven't, I'm super early, but I have not, I think I died once from combat, and that was only because the situation was obviously intended to be a stealth situation, and for whatever reason, someone spotted me, and next thing you know, like, at least early on, you can get fucked up real quick. You take one or two bullets, you're done. I mean, you're down for the count. And but the situation I'm referring to, like right after you get your first assault rifle, there's a room with like probably 5 or 6 enemies, and they will rush you, which I think is really cool. Like, they won't just sit behind cover and pop out and try to get you. Like, you'll usually have at least one, maybe a couple guys in the room that will just say "fuck you" and just rush at you, and you're like, "Holy shit!" And you're trying to reload, and like I said, I ended up running out of ammo, and I had to switch to. Luckily, I quickly switched to my pistol, and I was able to take the guy out that had rushed me. But of course, after the battle was over, I realized there's 2 boxes of ammo, like 20 feet to my right. But during the heat of battle, I didn't notice that because I'm trying to take cover, trying to protect myself, going to the left. But it ended up being that they're supplying you with plenty of ammo. I just didn't realize it was there. So.
Oh,
I think it's. Sorry to interrupt again.
No,
I think it's more of a lack of consequence for whatever you do in the game. Like how Swirly was saying before, and how Matt was saying how the combat's a little too easy. I guess like Swirly was saying, have to ramp it up to hard, or maybe like an impossible difficulty unlock later or something, where you only get X amount of ammo throughout the game. You don't have infinite ammo to pick up. You don't have perks to use to steal bullets and stuff like that. It just, like, when I was playing, I think there was like a section where they had a bunch of cover that you could use, and there was 5 dudes. I accidentally alerted one of them, and they're all rushing me, and I had the World War II submachine gun, and I'm just mowing them all down. I'm just like, that initial feeling, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. All I have is a shitty bow and this machine gun, and then I used the machine gun, I'm like, oh, so I could go through the entire game as long as I have ammo, and I can kill everyone this way. This doesn't feel stealthy at all. It feels like Uncharted, where I'm just an unstoppable killing machine, and I'm not even at the radio tower yet.
One thing I want to throw out there about the combat, they do stealth very well, and I was very surprised with that. I mean, obviously this kind of game you're going to get a little stealth, but I was really surprised with how well they did it. I mean, it's as good. If you want to play stealth, you can. If you want to play Rambo, you can. But they let you do stealth as good as any other game out there, which is great because that's always my style of play.
Yeah, that was one of the things I've been most impressed with so far. Like, you literally feel like you're stalking the enemies. Like, you're creeping. Like I said, that early section where you're going through that like old World War II fort, and there are just enemies posted up everywhere, and you can basically, at least through the first section, you can go through that entire section in stealth. And it's just so rewarding, just creeping through there, just taking your time, going around, looking at, around all the corners, melee attacking people like from behind, taking certain people out with your bow. I mean, at least in recent memory, that it's the best stealth I've seen in a game. Period. In recent memory, they do such a great job with it.
Yeah.
And I know we've mentioned a few complaints, but in my opinion, they're still very small in the large scope of things. This game is, I mean, like I said, I really fell in love with the game and the character. It is absolutely in my top 5 favorite games of this generation. And I mean, when you get sad when you finish the story because you want it to keep going, that's when you know you have something really good. And I am very, very excited to go on Laura's next adventure.
Definitely. So, Swally, what would you give the game?
Originally I was thinking maybe a 10, but now that I've been able to sit back and the easy enemy and the ammo, I'd probably give it a 9.5. Definitely nothing under a 9.5.